Welcome back, everybody, to Just Blitz Programming. Today, on this very fine Wednesday night for me, well, how many of you have ever wondered why companies like Duende, shown over here, can charge so much money for their code? Why can they get away with charging you 1,500 USD to download software they've already built in order for you to use it for 5 applications and on whatever unlimited user? Who gives a But that 1,500 is just a beginner starter package. If you want a business package, it's 5,000 for 15 clients, and unlimited enterprise, 12,000 a year. Why can they charge so much money for code that, theoretically you could find similar pieces of code that do similar things online for free on GitHub, open source, all that good stuff. But instead, you gotta get charged all this money. And if you're in a corporation that's big enough, they're gonna go for the enterprise edition because they like the unlimited and they like all the extra bells and whistles, and they don't really care about the money. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It depends on what. When it comes to software, it's really depending on the company and how frugal they are. But most big corporations will take a hit like this because $12,000 is a drop in the bucket for them in this case. They would rather have the ability to have everything available for them when it comes to this software for $12,000, regardless whether or not you might think it's worth $12,000. Here's another example. Truly native Blazor UI components by Jorik. Jorik has been around since 2002. I've used it before in other projects before when I was mostly doing Razor stuff. And they make a lot of money simply building these widgets. And most importantly, the one thing these two share is the reason why they could charge so much money is this right here. Product support. Production support is really, really important to corporations. In case you don't know, you've never worked in a big company before, or if you have, then you already know. If you're ever going to use a third-party software, it's typical that you want to introduce software that has support backing, that's part of a company on its own, in order for you to actually have a way out of problems that might arise. That is because a lot of the software that you can use are not open source. Sometimes you can use open source software, but that has its own issues and problems. Someone can just put their foot into the GitHub repository and cause issues, and there's no accountability for it. And that's all support is. Like, support is just accountability for problems that might arise in the future that might take development time or might never be fixed if you had no support otherwise, because programs that you do get as a third-party software are usually closed. They're not open source, and you don't have access to any of the source code, so you can't debug it and fix it as you would normally use your own code for. So having support is really important. You never want to be in a position where a project that you have that's supposed to be making you money, your profit, is all of a sudden not going to work simply because a third party what a random thing does not want to do what it's supposed to do. And then you have to go back, replace it, and use a lot of development time and resources in order to just fix it, which is why people pay $12,000, or up to $12,000, should I say, in order for them to have the ability to get that support. Now, sure, it's fine. You get unlimited client applications, unlimited users, but that's something that comes with all of them, so that they don't see that as much of a use. It's more of a given that you're going to have unlimited users if you're going to pay this much money for it. The unlimited APIs thing is the same thing. Blah, blah, blah. What really matters here are the applications that you can use it for, and of course the support. Everything else is just gravy on top of it to just justify that $12,000 cost. And I don't even know how much these people use. Actually, let's find out. Ooh, look at that. Dev complete, huh? For $1,500? Look at that. Nearly the same price as Duende's $1,500 starter edition for the Dev Craft complete, I guess. And they get priority support. So that is where I'm assuming people want to be, especially if you're a company, you want to be here. Now, why can they charge so much money for this? Well, not only have they been around for a long time, they have a lot of reputation. A lot of companies already use it, so they have intrinsic value in that they are a very trusted product. Another thing, and a very low-key thing, especially when it comes to Duende here, is marketing. How many of you have heard of Apple and its products? I'm sure a lot of you have. Now, how many of you out there are old enough to remember what an iPod is? Not an iPhone, an iPod. And from the looks of my audience, I know that most of you do, because I know you're about either my age or older. But that's cool. There's some of you who are younger, but Apple is known for both its computers, and then during the 2000s, it started building these little tiny devices that give you music portably. That wasn't an iPhone, called an iPod, in case you didn't know what that is. Now, what people don't really know is that they had a competitor. The competitor was called Zune, and that is something I'm sure that most people don't really know too much about, because iPod destroyed them, or should I say Apple destroyed them through their marketing. Steve Jobs was very brilliant, but his most brilliant skill was his marketing. And that, you've seen the marketing. I don't know if you've ever seen the old marketings for iPhone, or not iPhone, but for the iPod. They were really catchy. No one's ever heard of Zune, except for maybe 2 people that I've met in real life. And Zune was arguably the same product, but cheaper, with a decent quality. And in fact, I believe Zune was the first one of the 2 MP3s, whatever, to have like color or something on their screen. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really remember. But what I do know is that one of them became the conglomerate that we all know of today, and the other one most people don't know about. So I bring up that whole story not only to pad the time, but also to show you that Duende is being implicitly endorsed by Microsoft in the form of the fact that your starter software when it comes to Blazor WebAssembly, when you use the identity, when you pick the individual accounts or whatever, you're forced into using Duende without the licensor or all that good stuff. If you haven't seen my video on it, you should check it out. And that's why I'd say don't use it, because you want to go into production, you're gonna be stuck with this problem here. But because Microsoft implicitly endorses it by having it in its projects, that automatically gives Duende value, even though I've never heard of Duende before. I don't know if you have over there, but I have not. And, it looks okay, it looks nice. But there are also a lot of other libraries that I could use that are free that can do very similar things to this. Or, it would take a little bit of extra work to get it going, but I wouldn't have to pay all this money. However, you pay for the support. You pay for the actual fact that a giant corporation has endorsed it, saying that it is good enough, or at least good enough for us to put it in our template. And what else we get for this? And also it's kind of like an all-around thing. Like when it comes to using the identity model, it gives you access to everything. But we'll get to that with Blazor WebAssembly when I get to it. As for Blazor Server, I'm still working on that. So don't worry about that if you're here for that tutorial. That is the update on it. I'm on it. That'll be the first one. Don't worry. And that's what we want to talk about. I was really wondering why people, could charge so much money for this, for software that either you can make yourself or that you could find on GitHub for free. And yeah, the most important differentiating factor is going to be what the support that they offer and the reputation they have. The reputation can be garnered through marketing or through, endorsements, explicit or implicit. And that is why Duende here can charge $15,000 to $12,000 for a license and a you can't. And that's all there is to it. That was a quick video for me. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was entertaining enough. And yeah, that's the way of the world. Marketing over functionality, I guess. That's how it goes. If you believe it's valuable, it is valuable. But in this case, support is actually pretty valuable. It saves a lot of time and effort. I've had this issue in the past where we've used Telerik before, and then we had issues. And then we called them, and they're like, okay, yeah, here you do fix your problem. Like, oh, perfect. So then we didn't have to bang our heads against the wall against software we don't have access to. That's it. I'm done. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed the video. Just a little food for thought until I get the tutorial out. So have a good night, everybody. Peace out. Like, subscribe.